1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
To infinity and beyond.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show. Here's your host, Zach Gelb.
Live from the palatial yet not overly ostentatious studios of the Infinity Sports Network here in beautiful New York City, sitting on top of the 10th floor at 345 Hudson Street. Welcome on in to what is a Thursday edition of the Zach Gelb Show across all the great local Infinity Sports Network affiliates, Sirius XM, Channel 375, the free Odyssey app, and as always, streaming on YouTube. 888-710-4ISN is the number to jump on in. That's 888-710-4476. You could always get at me on Instagram, where I'm straight flexing, or via the good old cesspool of Twitter, at Zach Gelb. That's ZACHGELB. I sit here today on a Thursday as Glenn Ordway is going to join us coming up at 4:20 p.m. Eastern Time. We'll get a lay of the land of the Boston Celtics fan today. And also Quentin Lake, the LA Rams safety, is going to stop by at 5:20 p.m. Eastern Time. But I sit here today stunned, right? You have two games in a best-of-7 series. You have a Knicks team going up against a Celtics team. And let's just say, right, with what happened in game one, the New York Knicks are able to have a 20-point comeback, and they get a game on Boston's home court. You do that one time, I get it. It happens. You then, the next time out on the court, are down 20 again when it looks like the Boston Celtics are the better team. It looks like the Boston Celtics are in control. It looks like the Boston Celtics are going to even up this series, send it back to New York for what's going to be a pivotal Game 3 coming up on Saturday with that series tied up at 1-1, right? That's what you're thinking. And the Celtics did it again, and the Knicks did it again. I can't believe it. I was shocked last night when I'm watching that fourth quarter, and you see the lead just totally disappear for the Boston Celtics. And then there were moments at the end of the game where the game was in the balance. And, right, the Knicks could go take it or the Celtics could go take it. And the Boston Celtics, with Jayson Tatum, with Jalen Brown, they didn't show up. Where the New York Knicks saw Jalen Brunson and Mikal Bridges win that game. And you look back at it, it's so funny how things could change in less than a week. Or in basically a week. You look how Knicks fans were talking about Mikal Bridges. You know, Sully texted me. Sully goes, weren't you dogging Mikal Bridges when we were watching that game 6 up against the Pistons? And I go, yeah. Before that game, when I saw Sully, I'm like, Mikal Bridges needs to be better. Mikal Bridges, they traded 5 first-round picks for him. He's got to do more on the offensive end. And he had a good game 6. Then in game number 1, and you look back at that one, his defense was flawless. Made a big 3 towards the end. And then also had the biggest play of the game, which was the steal at the end of game number 1. But in game number 2, you were looking at Mikal Bridges and you were saying, all right, the defense is fine, but this dude had a big 0 on the stat sheet heading into the fourth quarter. He had a goose egg heading into the fourth quarter. And then Mikal Bridges came alive. Mikal Bridges had 14 points in the fourth quarter. And Jalen Brunson, who we know is a warrior, he's a dog, he is the captain of the New York Knicks, he's the heartbeat of the New York Knicks. Jalen Brunson, he was someone that is clearly playing through pain with these ankle injuries. And every time he goes down, I don't think he's standing back up. Because there's at least 1 or 2 times a game where he's down and out on the floor and he looks cooked, he looks donezo. But whether it was in game 6 or whether it was now in game 2 of this series, there are just some moments where we've seen Jalen Brunson not have all that. Right? There are times where you go back to, game 5 up against the Pistons. Game 6, he was awesome. And then you look back at game 2 up against the Celtics yesterday. For most of the game, Jalen Brunson offensively just didn't have it. And he was hobbling. But when you get into the final few minutes, there's a reason why that dude was voted the most clutch player in the NBA this year. Because he shows up, and even when he isn't at his best, he finds a way to will this team. He finds a way to guide this team to victory. So I want to start the show today praising Tom Thibodeau. Right? A lot of Knicks fans crush him. Oh, plays this guy's too many minutes. Oh, he's on the hot seat. And Tom Thibodeau's no longer on the hot seat. I don't want to say I don't care if they go on to blow this series, but there is no way, as long as Tibbs wants to return as the coach of the Knicks, and why wouldn't he, that Tibbs is getting fired at the end of the season. That's number one. But he is now running circles. And you know what? Multiple circles. Miles and Paul Pierce level miles of circles right now, if you know, you know, around Joe Mazzulla. Mazzulla has no answers. Through 2 games, Tibbs got all the answers. And you look at the difference between these 2 teams, the Celtics, even when they're in control, they're settling. They look lethargic. They look lazy. And when the Knicks are struggling, you just say, oh, they're just not the better team. But when their backs are against the wall, and when the Celtics don't issue the kill shot, when the Celtics don't stomp on their throat, because you could easily cut a 20-point lead down to 10 in the NBA and then it's a brand new game, or get a 20-point lead down to 8 and then it's a brand new game. But when you don't make that 20-point lead a 25 or a 30-point lead, which the Celtics don't have that killer instinct right now, you leave that game up for grabs in the final 6-7 minutes. And I know this. I trust Mikal Bridges. I trust Jalen Brunson. I trust Josh Hart. I trust Karl Anthony Towns. I trust Mitchell Robinson. And a host of others a lot more than right now what I'm trusting on the Boston Celtics. Quite frankly, the only guy that I trusted on the Boston Celtics last night was Derek White. That was the only guy. I don't know what's going on with Porzingis with his mysterious illness. I don't know what's going on with Jaylen Brown, who was a Finals MVP last year. I don't know what's going on with Jayson Tatum, who's one of the best players in the NBA. But I know they won a championship last year. Jayson Tatum wasn't at his best. You know, the Celtics won a championship. You expect the Finals MVP to be Jayson Tatum. He didn't win that award last year. And then you had all the stuff at the Olympics, too, with Steve Kerr. Right? There's a lot of stuff there. But remember, this Celtics team, originally, when this core was formed, and you also had Kyrie Irving, you had Gordon Hayward, and you had the emergence of some of these youngsters with Tatum and with Brown, and when Rozier was on this team, that was a team that overachieved early on. When Jayson Tatum threw it down in the face of LeBron James in the Eastern Conference Finals in that Game 7, they eventually lost. that was a team that overachieved. But then they kept on getting there, and they kept on coming up short. But last year and the last few years leading up until last year, the Celtics went from overachieving to significantly underachieving. And the question was out there, can this group win a championship together? And last year, they showed you they could. But just because you do that in 1 year doesn't mean you're going to do that year in and year out. You know, you look back at the Boston Celtics. Just look at their last championship team before this past one. You had a core, a super team of Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce, and Ray Allen. As great as that team was, and as much as many sports fans out there would just want to win one championship, that's all they won, was just one championship. And they had a golden opportunity to win a second one. And sorry, Stu, because I know your Lakers won it, so you're going to be like, oh, why is Zach saying sorry? Because the Lakers won the championship and Stu's a Lakers fan. But the Boston Celtics should have won a second championship. Remember, they were up 3-2 going back to LA. That was when it was back to the format was 2-3-2 in the NBA Finals with the home games. And the Boston Celtics had Kendrick Perkins get hurt in Game 6. And the Boston Celtics in Game 7 had Ray Allen be an absolute no-show. And the highlight of that game was Ron Artest, or was he Meta World Peace then? I don't remember. Hitting a 3 and then thanking a psychiatrist after the game. All right? There are teams that win a championship, and they're remembered and revered forever. But then there are teams that win a championship, and they're remembered and revered forever, but you go, oh, they should have won another one. Like, I look at the 86 Mets. The 86 Mets should have won another championship. The Boston 3 party of Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce, and Ray Allen should have won another championship. And this Celtics team this year should win another championship. But when you're just going through the motions and you're playing lazy basketball and your coach, Joe Mazzulla, is allowing Jayson Tatum and Jalen Brown to play lazy basketball, and I don't have a damn clue what's going on with Kristaps Porzingis, and the other team in the Knicks are a gritty bunch. They're a gritty bunch. You play that style lazy basketball, you're not winning another championship. But you go be the Boston Celtics you were in the regular season, yeah, you could win a championship. But the Celtics, the last few years up until last year, there were moments where you were like, man, this team should be a whole lot better than what they are. And that version of the Boston Celtics has popped up in the first 2 games of the second round of the NBA playoffs. And I'll tell you this, because it's the first time that I could actually say it into a microphone in my lifetime. I'm not saying this series is over. The fat lady has not sung in this series just yet. But the New York Knicks now being up 2-0. 2-0. That's what the New York Knicks are. And they haven't even played a home game yet at the world's most famous arena. You better go win this series. This series is far from over, but the Knicks go from being a significant underdog into this series to now, after 2 games, how they found a way to pull a rabbit out of the hat once and then twice. And they snatch victory from the jaws of defeat, not only 1 time, but 2 times. You have that advantage. You are halfway down the field, and the Celtics are on the floor, and they just tripped, and you have that baton, and you're running. You better hit that finish line. And I'll take it a step further. The New York Knicks, who entering the postseason, Zach Gelb will admit this, did not think they had a prayer to go to the championship, to go to the NBA Finals. I didn't think that for a second. I thought this team would take care of business up against the Pistons in 6, go up against the Boston Celtics and lose in 6. That's what I thought was going to happen. That was my prediction for the New York Knicks going into this season. Now, the New York Knicks, it would be disappointing if they don't find a way to get to the Eastern Conference Finals. And I'll take it a step further. It would be disappointing also knowing the other series has the Indiana Pacers up 2-0 up against Cleveland Cavaliers if the Knicks don't find a bare minimum a way to win 6 more games, 2 more up against Boston, 4 then up against either Indiana or Cleveland and get to the NBA Finals. It would be disappointing. and it's the first time I could say that in my lifetime into a microphone, that now I expect the New York Knicks to go to the NBA Finals. I'm not saying Boston can't come back, but with the team that's already won a championship, with this team not having a killer instinct, with this team playing lazy basketball, I'm not going to sit here and tell you I anticipate the Celtics coming on back. Like, there are moments in sports where you see a team is down in a series and you can predict that they could come on back. Heck, Mark Winkler did it with his Milwaukee Bucks when they were down 2-0 to the Phoenix Suns. He said, they're coming back. They're the better team. I see signs. I don't see signs right now for the Boston Celtics. If you're picking the Celtics right now to beat the Knicks, you're just resting on the laurels of what they've done in the past. There has been nothing done tangibly in this series, and I know the Celtics have looked like the better team, but when you allow one game to slip away, I can let it go. When you then allow 2 games to slip away, I can't let that go. And now the Knicks have a 2-0 advantage, and they're going back home. If they win Game 3, the New York Knicks, on Saturday, this could be a sweep. I never thought I would say that. If one team was going to get sweep headed into this series, it was going to be the Knicks. Now, if they end up losing game number 3, the New York Knicks, then game 4 becomes a must-win. But I truly believe that if the Knicks just go up 3-1 in this series, they ain't blowing that lead. That's when I'll start to think the series is over. Now I feel confident the Knicks are going to win the series, but if they get up 3-1, and I know we've seen 3-1 leads blown before, but that's when I will really start to think that this series is on the edge of just being donezo and over with. So I'm looking at this Knicks team now. Expectations change quickly. Sometimes the best success is unexpected success. And I know in the offseason, the Knicks made a lot of moves that made you think, okay, this team's got a chance. This team's got a shot. But with the ups and downs and not beating Boston in the regular season, not beating the Thunder in the regular season, not beating the Cavs in the regular season, I didn't walk into this postseason saying, oh, the Knicks go to the NBA Finals. I didn't do it. Now, after an opening round series, which was not even all that great, but then taking 2 up against Boston in improbable fashion, if the Knicks don't beat Boston, I'm disappointed. If the Knicks then also, knowing that in the other series, the Pacers are up 2-0, and this is no disrespect to Indiana or Cleveland, but with the Cavs being the walking wounded and the Knicks losing to the Pacers last year because the Knicks were the walking wounded, and knowing that the Pacers are up 2-0, if the Knicks don't find a way to beat Boston and go on to beat either whoever prevails between the Pacers and the Cavs, I'll be disappointed. The Knicks should be playing in June. The Knicks should be in the NBA Finals. And if you're a Boston Celtics fan, I know that you won a championship last year, but that's a city in Boston that used to winning. That's what they are. If you're in your 20s, if you're in your 30s right now, you've seen a lot of championships in your lifetime if you're a fan of Boston sports teams. You've seen the Patriots win a ton. You've seen the Celtics win. You've seen the Red Sox win a ton. You even saw the Bruins win a Stanley Cup in your lifetime. So just one championship with the group in Boston. Now, I'm not talking Detroit. I'm not talking Cleveland. I'm talking Boston. All right? And in Boston, you're expected to win more than just one championship. A championship's like, oh, you got a seat at the table. Right? Like, you got a seat at a table in the club. You may be on the second floor. You want to get right next to the DJ? Well, in Boston, you got to win multiple championships. And this group in Boston is letting a championship slip away because they've been showing up. Even when they miss 45 threes in game 1, they still should have won the game. One game you allow slip away, fine. You didn't see Oklahoma City allow a game slip away in game 1, failed to show up in game 2, failed to get the job done in game 2. They put their foot on the throat and they bounced Denver right back to Denver last night. That was a decisive victory. But the Boston Celtics, they were fake last night. They made you look up at the scoreboard and go, okay, oh, Boston's showing that killer instinct. But then when the game got close, then when the moment got tight, then when the moment got late, the Boston Celtics urinated right down their leg. And they fell on the floor and they were embarrassed. And they didn't know what to do. Jayson Tatum had no clue. Wide open 3. Go dunk the basketball, you dummy. Jalen Brown. Are you lost right now? The only one on the Celtics that's showing up is Derek White. Everyone else, Joe Mazzulla, the coach who's allowing this, they're a bunch of no-shows right now. And they are allowing the New York Knicks to walk into their building. And even when the Knicks were down 20 in game 1 and 20 in game 2, they walked out with 2 victories. I couldn't go to sleep last night. I'm sitting there after the game and I go, all right, I saw it once. Now, did I have the DVR on? Did I put on game 1 again for game 2? Oh, no, this was a new result. And Mikal Bridges, he has the ability to go to 0 to hero real quick. 0 points in the second quarter. Going into the fourth quarter in game 2. He finishes with 14 and again makes the biggest defensive play of the game. My, oh my. What do you think is going to end up happening between the Knicks and the Celtics? I think the Knicks are going to the Eastern Conference Finals. What say you? 888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. Who has a better chance to make the playoffs this year after the George Pickens trade? Is it the Pittsburgh Steelers or the drama Dallas choking Cowboys? We'll give you our answers next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. 1 minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
You're listening to the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network.
So remember when I told you on Thursday that our pal Sully picked me up in Las Vegas and then we hung out for a little bit, and Sully was very disappointed with my luggage. Now, to be fair, I think it was a half-right critique. The little travel bag that I bought was just basically to store my golf shoes, a few socks, and then also, like, I don't know how to say this, like medicine and a hairbrush. Toiletries, thank you. That's the word I was looking for. So it's like a small little bag. And that bag is very, very, very old. It was my grandfather's, and I got it once when I was in Florida, and I just took it with me. So that bag does look decrepit, I will admit that. But I have less than a year old duffel bag. That's like a garment duffel bag, which I understand it's not the most luxurious thing in the world, but it's not a bad looking bag. But here's the nice thing about it. It stores all the crap that I need. Sometimes you get these travel bags. Like, for example, I got a backpack that I bring to work every day, and I was told it could dual into a travel bag. And right, it unzips, it has all the layers and everything. My clothes are pretty damn big that if I need like 3 or 4 days worth of clothes and also have to pack shoes, it's not fitting in that bag everything that I need. So this duffel bag, which is also a garment bag all into one, I could hang 2 or 3 dress shirts, and I could pack clothes and shoes. I put 2 pairs of shoes in there, and then also like 4 or 5 days worth of clothes, and I could fit it all in one bag. And I don't think it looks that bad. So Sully goes, bro, Zach, guy, you have a national radio show. You need better traveling gear. He goes, you travel enough, you can't be looking like a schlub, is pretty much what he told me. So I go, okay, like I'll at least listen. Now, I know one of these travel bags, right? The backpack ones. I know what they usually cost. Like I have a bag from Nomadic, I think it's called. It's like $300. So it's not like really that cheap for a backpack. So Sully sent me 2 options. Samter and Stu, just take a guess. The backpack that Sully sent me, how much do you think it costs? Let's do a little prices right here. I'll start off with Samter. Samter, give me your guess on just the backpack.
Is this like a day backpack or like a luggage backpack?
A luggage backpack.
I'm assuming it's like a Louis or something like that.
No, it's not. It's called Toomey.
Oh, it's a Toomey.
No, I think it's just one T.
No, I said it's a Toomey.
Oh, a Toomey. Yes. Oh, I think you said Tatumi.
Tatumi.
I'm like, huh?
Sasumi. Let's go with 400.
Okay.
Stu? I can't tell you if you're right or wrong.
I wasn't thinking that high. I'll say 250.
Samter would win. $595.
Oh my god.
All right, so that's option 1. So Sully wants me to buy 2 bags.
That's not an option.
But exactly. Thank you, Stu. But that's option 1. Now, the roller bag that Sully sent me. So this is like, it's a black bag, right? You store it in the right on the overhead bin on the airplane. You could bring it. It looks like a nice bag. It is a Continental expandable 4-wheeled carry-on, is what Sully sent me. Stu, what do you think the guess is here?
I would assume it has to be more.
Yes, that would be correct assumption.
So I'm going to say 700.
Okay, Samter? Let's see if Samter's got the big bucks brain on or not.
Well, listen, luggage is freaking expensive. So, like, I've kind of, unless you're walking around downtown New York City where they have those little shops and you get like a 4-pack of luggage for $2, I'm going to go with 1,000.
Well, you would now be wrong because you went over. Slightly over, right? Because that's how it works at prices, right? $975.
Oh,
Let me tell you, folks.
For one or for a set?
One.
yikes.
Let me tell you, folks. I'm not afraid to spend money. I like to spend money, though, on things that I really value. A travel bag? $975? You will not see me ever pay $975 for a travel bag. Now, Sully just texted me again. And Sully, I guess he's going on some trip. And it's like, where's Waldo? Where's Sully? And he sent me the backpack and the bag with his stuff, right, on a trip. I'm not spending almost, $1,100 on travel gear. I could go on a nice trip for $1,100.
Well, if it was 900 and 500, then we're talking about 1,400.
Oh, yeah, you're
Almost
right.
1,500, basically.
Once again, Templeman.
There you go. I was like, 1,100. Wasn't one of them $1,000?
Yeah. You're right. So for almost $1,400.
So how much would you spend on a good carry-on travel bag?
$450? $400?
All right.
Like,
so,
you're telling me it's durable?
Yep.
It could fit all my crap? I go for, if I had to, $400. But it better last me 10 years.
Okay.
That's the other. A lot of
That's
stuff
reasonable.
is flimsy, and then you get something, and it's like you pack a shoe, a boxer, and a pair of socks and a shirt, and I go, I got no more room in this stuff. I need a little double XL travel bag here, if we're being honest. So, come on though, $975 for a travel bag, Sully.
It's a world that we have not approached yet.
Does it come with the filet mignon and an old fashioned? That just anytime I want. Ridiculous. But anyway, getting back to George Pickens in the trade yesterday. I told you basically like who gives a bleep because either of these teams aren't anywhere close to winning a Super Bowl. But let's go around the room here and make your case. Stu, who has a better chance to make the playoffs this year? The Steelers or the Cowboys?
I'll say the Steelers. Now I'm assuming Rodgers will be there. So that's kind of what I'm going off of.
Okay.
I think
let's assume Rodgers there. That's fine.
I think the AFC is more open. Like, if you look at the Cowboys, first of all, in your division, you have the Eagles and Commanders, who are both better off the bat.
Okay.
Then you have the NFC North, which I think you can make the case that all 4 NFC North teams are better.
Yeah.
But at least 2 or 3. And then that's not even including the 49ers being better and the Rams. So I just
One team has to go from the NFC South if you don't win the division.
Yeah. So, like, I really don't see the Cowboys making the playoffs. At least the Steelers... Okay, maybe they could be the third best team in the AFC North, and then the AFC West teams, like the Broncos and Chargers cannibalize themselves. Maybe the Patriots don't make the big jump we think they will. Maybe the Dolphins won't make that jump back. So I think it's the Steelers, just based off of the conference that they're in.
Okay, Samter, who's the better chance to make the playoffs this year? Is it the Steelers or the Cowboys?
I mean, the idea of assuming that Aaron Rodgers is going to be there, I'm not ready to do it, man. Like, right now, that quarterback room is Will Howard and Mason Rudolph, and Skylar Thompson. I'm not banking on that team with one star receiver in a new system.
I have breaking news.
Tell me.
Aaron Rodgers was unsuccessful in his bid to become the next pope, and I'm told he's going to sign with the Steelers in the next few weeks. That's what I'm told.
Well, I just sent you a really interesting new picture of how handsome the new pope is. It's just, he's a good-looking guy. Everyone says he's from Chicago, but it looks like he's from Westchester, New York, I think.
Oh, my God. I'm like, this is so weird. I'm sitting there, I go, what's wrong with you? You have the hots for the Pope? I'm like, that's your take? Samter just sent me a photo, and it's himself photoshopped in as the Pope. You kind of look like you'd be a good Pope.
I look like a good Pope.
And you're Jewish too, which is impressive that you could pull off the good Pope look.
I've got, it's the gray.
I say
in the
that
beard.
just also because I say that as a Jewish man too. I don't want to get in a sticky situation or anything like that if people don't know my background and things like that. But geez, Sam to the Pope. That's what you do during the breaks.
Listen, I had to find ways to.
We don't have a 5 o'clock segment today, folks, but we have Samter as the Pope.
Listen,
One of the
I
100
feel like there's a lot of Pope things that we could do for the 5 o'clock segment.
You know what, Ak? I'm screwed in my argument. 1 Zach Gelb or 100 Samters. If one of the Samters is a Pope, I'm not going to beat up the Pope. That's not good.
That's why I said strength in numbers. You don't know what those 100 Samters can do. One's the Pope.
I will just say divine intervention will come to help me.
Anyway, what do you have on this answer with the Steelers and the Cowboys?
So I'm not relying on Aaron Rodgers as being the quarterback. So right now I have to just go with the Steelers as is. They lost their number 2 receiver. They lost their number 1 running back. Their defense is good, but I mean, they're getting older. Right now, Mason Rudolph is their starting quarterback. I'm going with the Cowboys. I know that it's a more difficult road, but as hard as the NFC East is, the AFC North is twice as hard.
So if I had a Venn diagram right now, I'd be right in the middle. Because I agree with kind of both of your arguments in the way that you laid it out. I agree with Stu, and I think the road for the Steelers is easier to get to the playoffs, and the Steelers get more of the benefit of the doubt. But then I also agree with Santer, even if Aaron Rodgers is there, and I'm assuming that he will be there, I just have a tough time seeing Aaron Rodgers behind that offensive line succeeding. Now losing George Pickens, even though you got DK Metcalf. I know you got Freiermuth. And the backfield's a major question mark. So I think Stu's argument is better, but I'm actually going to take Samter's side here and say that it's the Cowboys that have the better chance to go to the playoffs, just because I have a feeling with Rodgers being 1 foot in, 1 foot out, that this is going to get ugly with the Steelers. And I know, right, the Steelers, every year it feels like we're saying, oh, this is finally the year Mike Tomlin's going to be below 500, and this is finally the year that the carpet's going to get pulled out from underneath Mike Tomlin and the Steelers. I'm not saying they're going to be bad, but just making the playoffs, I'm actually going to put my eggs more in the basket of the unknown of the Cowboys with Schottenheimer. Now, getting George Pickens, you got CeeDee Lamb, maybe Dak will be healthy this year. Micah Parsons maybe doesn't get the contract and he goes on to have this great season. Maybe the Commanders fall back a little bit. And I could see this Cowboys team maybe going 9-8, 10-7, right? Where I just get this ominous feeling when it comes to Aaron Rodgers that he's going to be miserable in Pittsburgh and he's going to be running for his life. That's just what I feel. So I'm going to take the Cowboys.
And it just feels like it's the same thing over again with Aaron Rodgers. There's a report that came out either yesterday or this morning that the Steelers are looking to sign Alan Lazard.
Oh, great.
Right? So it's just, it's Aaron Rodgers all over again. Hey, bring in my guy, bring in my guy, bring in my guy. Maybe that was the impetus to get rid of George Pickens. Rodgers like, hey, I need certain guys to be there.
What is Nate Hackett going to then get a job in the staff? Where the heck is Nathaniel Hackett? That's a good question. Anyone want to take a guess where Nathaniel Hackett is right now? I'm going to look this up real quickly. Anyone just want to throw a team out there? I don't even think he has a job right now. Yeah, he don't have a job right now.
Is he with the Pack? No.
I think he consulted maybe?
He was consulting maybe with the Jaguars last year?
Thought it was the Packers.
No, I think the Packers. I don't think he has a job right now. Because when it comes up, it just says his last job was with the Jets. Jeez. Huh. What a disaster. Nate Hackett, offensive consultant. But Art Smith, right? Arthur Smith, him and Rodgers supposedly close. Wow. I feel like every time with everyone, it was Nathaniel Hackett. And then all of a sudden, when Rodgers, Nate Hackett, right? Arthur Smith, that will be Artie Smith or something like that. All righty, we'll take a break. It is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. Terrell Suggs says Big Ben Roethlisberger is the most underrated QB ever. Who's the most underrated QB in the game presently? And then also, who's the most underrated QB of all time? We'll get our answers next. Zach Gelb Show, Infinity Sports Network. Update time first. Here is the Ackman, Rich Ackerman.
Infinity Sports Network. Sports Flash.
And it's sponsored by Progressive Insurance, who provides this riddle. What do your home and auto have in common? Progressive protects them both. It was an easy little riddle. Learn more at Progressive.com. If one can learn to speak. There is one game in the NBA playoffs tonight, and one big star missing at the Warriors face the Timberwolves in Minnesota without Steph Curry, who is out a week with a strained hamstring. It's the biggest storyline entering this evening's Game 2. Golden State took the opener, and with all the talk surrounding Curry, head coach Steve Kerr said they're just taking everything day to day.
I think you literally just take it a game at a time, and we can't. I know there's a break between 5 and 6, and everyone's saying, that maybe those 3 days. We can't afford to think about that. I mean, Steph will be back when he's back. We just focus on tomorrow's game, and then we go from there.
The Timberwolves were rusty in Game 1 after a 5-day layoff in between rounds, and the entire lineup struggled. Derek Shelton out as Pirates manager in his 6th season. The team currently at 12-26. Last the NL Central. Bench coach Don Kelly takes over. Baseball right now, Red Sox lead the Rangers 4-0 top 7. Royals on top of the White Sox 4-0 top 6. It's the Tigers 5, Rockies 0, top of the 2nd. I'm Rich Ackerman.
This is the Infinity Sports Network. Follow us on X. Our handle is INF Sports Network. That's INF Sports Network on X.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
You're listening to the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network.
This portion of the show is sponsored by Hyundai. The Hyundai Getaway Sales event is going on now. Get deals so right, it almost feels wrong. But don't wait. Visit your local Hyundai dealer today. I'll tell you, we're going to play an audio clip here from Terrell Suggs. Nothing against Terrell Suggs, but I couldn't stand him when he was a player. He's a heck of a player. But he was the guy that always just had such a punchable face. And he talked so much crap. He was so obnoxious. I could not stand Terrell Suggs when he was playing football. So he was on the Rory and Mal podcast, and he was asked who's the most underrated QB. Here was Terrell Suggs' answer.
Roethlisberger is underrated. Like, he got more rings than Rodgers. He got more rings than Breeze. More rings than Marino. Like when you think about it, he's got as many as Peyton and Eli. I would say Roethlisberger. He's probably the most underrated.
Yes or no? Is Big Ben underrated still?
I would say no. He's not over. I think he's properly rated. I don't think he's overrated or underrated.
Okay. Samter, do you think Big Ben is underrated?
I do.
Okay, explain why.
Well, being somebody who worked for the Cardinals when he had that incredible comeback to win that game, you get to just see Big Ben do things that no other quarterback really before or since has been able to do. He was tougher than linebackers. He would get hits from, Ray Lewis or whoever and just bounce off of him. He would stay up, keep plays alive. And at first, his first few years when he was winning, his first year he was 15-1 as a rookie. Yeah. And then he won a Super Bowl, and then he won a second Super Bowl that, the Cardinals should have won. But at the end of the day, the dude at first was just the tough guy that you couldn't bring down. He was the tough guy that would just make plays. Then later on in his career, he was leading the league in passing and throwing 30 touchdown passes. He went from just being a game manager who made plays when it mattered, being clutch as hell, to being a legitimate passer of the ball. And then the Steelers offense opened up. Antonio Brown, Le'Veon Bell, all those guys who benefited off of Big Ben. I think the dude, honestly, if you ask me between all those guys in that quarterback class, Phillip Rivers, Eli Manning, Big Ben was the best.
Oh, yeah, Big Ben was the best player. He had the best career out of those three guys.
100%.
The problem is, I think he's properly rated. Could he be slightly underappreciated? I guess you could say so. Do I think he's a top 10 quarterback of all time, even though he has top 10 stats? No, I do not. The guy never won an MVP. He was a 6-time Pro Bowler. He was phenomenal. He was always there. He won 2 championships, and with the Pittsburgh Steelers, right, where that's the standard. Not only win one championship, but multiple championships. I think he's a top 20 quarterback of all time. That's what I would say. I think the problem with him, though, is he played in a conference for most of his reign that was dominated by two of the all-time greats, the GOAT and then one of the other greatest quarterbacks of all time in Tom Brady and Peyton Manning. And then in that conference, even though Big Ben's final season was in 2021, but then he was a shell of himself, the guy that was already past Big Ben and even past Peyton Manning was another AFC guy in Patrick Mahomes. So when he's up for the Hall of Fame, he will easily get in. I think Big Ben is sensational. I think he's a top 20 quarterback of all time, but I don't think I'm sitting here saying he's one of the 10 best quarterbacks that I've ever seen. So let's do this, though. Right now, not, just a underrated quarterback that is not playing anymore, but out of the active guys, Stu, I'll start you off. Who's the most underrated quarterback in the NFL right now?
Okay, so this quarterback was 4th in yards last season, 4th in completion percentage.
Ooh. Hold on. Keep on going. Give me some hints here.
And this was a guy that was running for his life pretty much the whole season. He was sacked 50 times.
Running for his life.
And then in the 2 years prior, he had 20 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, 30 touchdowns, 11 interceptions.
Wow. AFC or NFC?
So he was NFC.
So he was NFC and is now in the AFC.
He is.
So it wasn't... No, it's because Sam Darnold's on the Seahawks. Who is it?
Seahawks is a hint here.
Seahawks is a... Oh, Geno Smith?
Geno Smith.
Oh, my God.
Now, look, I don't think he's a top 10 quarterback. Definitely not a top 5 quarterback, but I think he still gets thought of a little as the Geno Smith of the Jets, and I think his numbers from the past few years have been really good.
Mm-hmm. It's the first time in a while Stu's done a homer pick, I will say, now that Geno Smith's your guy with the Raiders. Okay. I didn't realize that Geno Smith's numbers were that good, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
So I guess that does pass. I would say he's at best, the 14th best quarterback in the NFL. Maybe for a few weeks you say, okay, maybe he's the 12th best.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he had a good run reestablishing himself with the Seahawks, and then now he's with the Las Vegas Raiders. Samter, give me a quarterback actively who is underrated in the NFL.
I think you got to go with Jared Goff. Jared Goff's been to Super Bowl. He's been to multiple NFC Championship games. When he was with the Rams, he had a top 2 offense twice. Yeah. With the Lions, he's had a top 5 offense 3 times in his 4 years. Say what you will about Jared Goff, maybe not winning big games and not showing up, but over his last 3 seasons in Detroit, the dude is averaging 32 touchdowns, 10 picks, and 4,500 yards. With a 68% completion percentage. He's a good quarterback. I think people kind of look at him because he doesn't have a strong arm as being just kind of a game manager. Dude is a good quarterback, and every time that he steps on for an offense, it's one of the best offenses in the NFL.
So here's why I hesitate. If you would have said that entering this season, I would say absolutely. This year, I think everyone acknowledged the dude was a good quarterback. And then in that divisional round game coming off the bye, him and the team bleeped the bed. So I can't say he is underrated. I wouldn't call him overrated. I think Jared Goff has got to a level now where he's properly rated, and he's a little bit overpaid, if we're being honest. My underrated quarterback is Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield goes to Cleveland, wins a playoff game in Cleveland. In Cleveland, folks, where they beat the Steelers. Then bounces around the league. Carolina, too late. The Rams, he walks off the street, plays solid, then goes to Tampa Bay. And they say you never want to be the guy that replaces the guy. He was replacing the greatest quarterback of all time in Tom Brady. They've made the playoffs twice. Baker Mayfield with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, 28 touchdowns, 10 interceptions in year 1, over 4,000 yards. Year 2, 4,500 yards, 41 touchdowns, 16 picks. And had a 71.4% completion percentage this year. Baker Mayfield, to me, is the most underrated quarterback in the NFL. All right, now, just give me in the history of the NFL, doesn't need the most underrated quarterback ever, but just a quarterback that you always looked and you said, oh, that guy's underrated. I'll start you off with Stu.
So I think this quarterback, you can make the case he's a top 10 quarterback all time, but he's not really considered that because he did it for a shorter period of time.
Ooh.
And that's Kurt Warner. Had the one Super Bowl, was absolutely dominant in his prime, had a couple off years, and then later in his career got the Cardinals back to Super Bowl at the age of 37. I just think that if you look at him in his prime, he was absolutely excellent. He was just kind of robbed of having like a 15, 17-year career.
Can I just ask Sam a question because I don't want to step on his toes here? Is your quarterback a Raider? Just wondering.
He is not.
Okay, I thought you were going to say Rich Gannon, who won an MVP in the league.
Yeah.
That's what I thought you were going to say. Like, Warner's a Hall of Famer, so it's kind of tough. It's like weird for me to say that the guy's underrated. Samter, who's yours?
I was going to go with Drew Brees, as good as he is and how people think of him. But, like, Drew Brees is, like, so good. I think people keep him in that, like, 8 through 10 all time. But
yeah, that's proper.
I think he's higher than that. But the guy that I'm actually going to go with is Fran Tarkenton. Fran Tarkenton went to 4 Super Bowls, didn't win any for the Vikings. But when he retired in 1978, he was the career leader in passing yards. And the dude can run the ball, too. He was awesome. He was the career leader in completions, passing yards, and touchdowns as a quarterback. And that record didn't get broken until like 15, 20 years later by whether it was Warren Moon or John Elway. So I'm going to go with Fran Tarkenton.
All right, just an underrated quarterback. I'm going to give you Carson Palmer. He's 15th all-time in passing yards, 15 all-time in passing touchdowns. And Carson Palmer played for 3 teams that you never associate with great football organizations. The Bengals, the Raiders, and the Cardinals. He was a 3-time Pro Bowler. He led the league in passing touchdowns and completion percentage in 2005. Had 294 career touchdowns, 187 picks. And also, he has a winning record in his career. A winning record playing with 3 teams that really aren't associated with winning. And it was just a winning record of 92 and 88 and 1. So I'm going to go with Carson Palmer. That's a guy that I thought was an underrated quarterback. All right, this is Zach Gelb on the Infinity Sports Network. We'll do a news brief next. Big O, Glenn Ordway will join us coming up 25 minutes from now.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Infinity and beyond.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show.
Alrighty, hour number 2 of our radio program. It is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. We'll see what's going on with the Boston Celtics. Longtime Boston sports talk show host Glenn Ordway, the Big O, will join us 20 minutes from now. Quentin Lake, the Rams safety, is also going to stop by an hour 20 from now on this Thursday extravaganza. But first up, without further ado, and I'm not talking about Freddie Adu, it's time to update you on some of the biggest stories in the world of sports with some audio. Let's get to a news brief.
Extra, extra, read all about it. Extra, extra, read all about it.
Time for your daily news brief. We get you caught up on the rumors, reports, and reconnaissance from the day in sports.
I love hockey play-by-play. We start on the ice. The Toronto Maple Leafs up against the Florida Panthers. The Panthers are defending Stanley Cup champions. The Panthers are down 0-1 in this series. Toronto's on their home ice. They're trying for this to finally be their year. Craig Berube is now their coach of their roster that's loaded with superstars. The Panthers tie the game up at 3 in the third period. And then you got this Mitch Marner goal about a little under 20 seconds later after the game was tied up to give the Maple Leafs the 4-3 victory.
Leafs have got to get some offense going here as the shot went wide of the Florida net. Shot then by. They score! Holy mackerel! A seeing-eye bullet from Mitch Marner off the far board!
There we go. A job well done. Much better than the Pacers play-by-play call that we played the other day of the Halliburton game winner. Let's go Mikko Rantanen. So he in Game 7 up against the Avalanche. Let me play this out now for you. In the third period, had a hat trick just in the third. 3 goals in the third. Remember, Rantanen was originally on the Avalanche to start the season, then got traded to the Hurricanes, then got traded to the Stars because the Hurricanes going to get a long-term deal done with him. So that moved him on to this game up against the Winnipeg Jets. The Jets have been the best team in the league. They had that crazy comeback in their Game 7 where they scored with 1.6 seconds left to put the game into overtime, where they eventually won it in double overtime. Stars Game 1 on the road. Rantanen had a hat trick again coming off his Game 7 heroics, also again in just a period. This time it was in the second period. Here was the goal that put him up 3-1. This is the Stars Radio Network.
In front, the Stars shoot and score! Rantanen from the right wing circle. Can you believe it? He has done it again. Mikko Rantanen, back-to-back hat tricks. First in Game 7, here in Game 1. It is 3-1 Dallas.
That was the Stars Radio Network? Was that the Jets? Was that labeled wrong? Right? There wasn't a lot of good emotion right there.
It may have been labeled incorrectly.
In the system, yeah. Right? Like, if you're I don't know if it is or isn't, to be fair. But I'm just saying, if you're the hometown announcer of the Dallas Stars, don't you got to be losing your mind there? Don't you got to be like Dave Mishkin of the Tampa Bay Lightning? Alrighty. Anyway, we go from the ice to the hardwood, where the New York Knicks were down 20 once again, but it didn't matter to the Boston Celtics. They're up 2-0, or it didn't matter to the New York Knicks up against the Boston Celtics. Here's Jalen Brunson on being clutch.
It's a focus that I need to have at that moment. You can't really worry about what happened previously in the game. It's all about just focusing, having a clear mind, just trying to win the game. That's just my mindset, and I wouldn't be that way without my teammates.
And we go from Jalen Brunson to Joe Mazzulla, the head coach of the Boston Celtics, who won a championship last year. But now you're up against the Knicks, a series you're supposed to win. You're trying to repeat and become back-to-back NBA champions and at least get back to another conference final. And Joe Mazzulla's team has now been up 22 times at home up against the Knicks, and they've walked out of their building with a big goose egg when it comes to the win column. Here's Joe Mazzulla on overcoming these blown leads.
I mean, you just take a look at it, figure out where you have to be better, and you know, put a full 48 minutes together. So I have an understanding that it's going to be difficult, but you know, that's why we do what we do, and figure out where we have to get better and do that.
I understand he's not Mr. Personality, and there's games where they win, it sounds like they lose. So at least he has the same temperament. But after you do this again, I think you need a little bit more fire at the podium. That's just me. I'd be going after my guys a little bit, trying to get under their skin, because this is the problem right now. It's not that only the Celtics are losing and blowing these leads. They don't even know that they understand what even hit them. They don't even look that way. They just look sloppy. They look lazy. They look like they're settling, and they're just playing lethargic basketball right now. I would wish the coach would have a little bit more fire last night. Here's Kristaps Porzingis. So he had this illness since March. And he came back, he was playing, and then it's popped back up in this series, and clearly it's impacted him. And there's been no clarity on what the heck the injury is. Here's Kristaps Porzingis on excuses for his poor play.
I'm dealing with some, I don't know how to call it, but I'm just not feeling my best. I'm not feeling my best at all, but you know, it kills me inside that it's happening in this moment.
And this is what I start to wonder. Like, if it's a respiratory illness, it's the longest one ever, right? Is this something, and I hate to speculate this stuff, right? Because it's not fair. Is this like a mental health issue or something? Like, I don't know. Is he having panic attacks? Does he have a ton of anxiety? Because you hear it's this illness, and then it's like, yeah, something's going on. You know, an illness for a month. Maybe it's something more serious, but it's bizarre that he's able to play, and then he has to check himself out of the game. I don't know. It's mystifying to me. So I guess Paul Pierce on his FS1 show, he said if the Knicks would win Game 2, and he thought the Celtics were easily winning Game 2, that he would walk to work in a bathrobe. Now, he lives, I guess, 20 miles away from the studio, so Samter has put together a little montage on Paul Pierce's walk to work.
All right, time for me to get to stepping. Oh, damn. Man of my word. All right, man. Welcome to this journey. Here I go. Man, this really wild, though. I can't believe this. Celtics got me out here like this, dog. Man, I'm way out here. Give y'all an update. I done just passed receiver. I'm about to take it into the, I'm almost gonna make a right. Probably gonna go up into the mountains pretty soon. So I'm about like 4 miles in right now. So I think I got like another 16 miles. Halfway point, hey. I'm pulling up on the studio, though. Hey, anybody there? Let me in.
You are sweating, bro. How many miles we at?
Look who I done ran into, my boy Key. He out here gonna walk.
Look who I found.
He ran up on me. He saw me walking.
Here you go right here.
Brought me some water.
Man,
I appreciate y'all, man. I appreciate you, my dog.
Yeah.
I'll see you at the studio in a minute, though, man. I got about.
Look at this dude, man.
All right, I'm out. All right, I'm in Beverly Hills, y'all. I'm sweating. Look at me. I'm drenched. I'm gonna need a shower. Damn, I can't believe I did this. We almost there. I see light at the end of the tunnel. I can't wait to get this food. I'll order some wings.
Are you ranch or blue cheese guy?
I'm both. I'll mix them.
Oh, no!
Mix ranch with the blue cheese.
Call it ranch cheese?
Ranch cheese.
Or blue ranch?
Both. Man, it took 6 hours. A 6-hour walk, bro. That's crazy. Coming around the corner. Coming around the corner, baby. We made it. We made it, Ma. Cleveland, this is for you. We did it. Anything's possible. Man. In my role, bro.
In the role, that's the crazy part.
In my role, I'm out here in these streets. Damn, dog. I made it, y'all. We made it, y'all. We made it. We made it. Oh, my God. Oh, my gosh. I can't believe it. I made it, y'all. Sit down right here, Joe. Damn, I made it, y'all. I can't believe I'm never doing this again, y'all. I ain't never put no bet like this ever again. I accomplished something great, dog. That was an accomplishment at the end of the day.
He's a moron. I appreciate what he did. He was a man of his word. He walked 20 miles to work. But when you get asked, what are you going to eat? Wings. And then someone goes to your ranch or blue cheese guy, pick one. And it better be blue cheese. But you say you mix both of them? Now I have a theory. A lot of us believe that Paul Pierce took a number 2 in his pants once in the NBA Finals. That's why he needed the wheelchair. I'm going to say he ate wings before the game, and he mixed the ranch and the blue cheese, and that's why he had the runs during the game. Oh, my God, Paul Pierce. I was ready to praise you. And now I just want to eviscerate you for that just hellacious take that you mix ranch and blue cheese. Yuck. P.U. Yeah. Disgusting. Gross. Oh, my goodness gracious. Now, I will say, Paul, though, if you're going to have an after party tonight, you know where to hit me up. I expect an Instagram Live tonight, a Paul Pierce after party, playing a little poker, and a few ladies coming on by. All right, let's go to the Oklahoma City Thunder. They did what the Celtics couldn't do last night, and that was just stomp their opponent out after an embarrassing Game 1 loss. This series now tied up at 1 apiece with the Thunder and the Nuggets. The Thunder just destroyed the Nuggets, 149-106. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who played in 30 minutes at 34 points and was 11 of 13 from the field. Here is SGA on the importance of winning Game 2.
We came out here desperate. We knew what it would look like going down 0-2 on the road. That wasn't really an option for us. We knew that waking up this morning. And we did the necessary things to get a W. Now it's about watching it, just like we did the last game, and getting ready for the next one. It's a really good basketball team over there, and every game's going to look different. We got to be ready.
Alrighty, I want to get one more in on the Celtics and the Knicks. So this is Brian Windhorst on the ESPN, and he's talking about how if the Celtics don't find a way to come on back, that this new ownership group might break up this core.
Next year, their payroll is $460 million when you compute the taxes. If they keep their draft pick, but they got a first-round pick this year, and they fill out their roster, I don't even know if they're going to be able to bring Al Horford back. It's going to top $500 million. They got new owners. They're buying it for $6 billion. They need to take on all these partners just to put half the money together. I don't know what's going to happen there, but there's a possibility this team's not going to come back. No matter what, they may not be able to come back because they're the most expensive sports team in the history of the game. That's what's on the line. But if they don't get out of this series, I don't know how you can justify spending $500 million on the roster again. I'll tell you that. And so, to me, what's on the line is whether these guys want to stay together and try to rack up a bunch more rings.
Oh, the question is, who do you get rid of? Like, if you just tell me Al Horford's not coming on back, all right, Al's been there forever. But if you tell me, oh, they're going to break up either Tatum or Brown, that's a little bit different. As long as those two pieces are there, that's not really me seeing this core really broken up. You know, you could get rid of Marcus Smart and you could still go find the way to win a championship, which they did. You get rid of Al Horford, you could still win a championship. You got to replace him. But if they trade, and it would be Brown, it wouldn't be Tatum. But if they trade one of those guys, then that's like, okay, this new ownership group really broke up the core. Let's go to Brandon Beane, the general manager of the Buffalo Bills, Shine on Sports Series XM Mad Dog Radio. Does Brandon Beane think James Cook will hold out?
We love James. I've been, I call him Jimbo. That's his name in the building here. But, hey, listen, sometimes business gets in the way, and you understand that. And so Jimbo, though I know this, he is a competitive dude. He loves playing for this team. He loves being a part of it. He loves his role here, and he fits this offense really well. I know we've had people in the building that he's been talking with, and I have no doubts when it's time to play football, he'll be ready to roll.
And then let's go to Steph Curry. Steph Curry, right? You're hearing that he's going to be reevaluated in a week. So if you do a week from yesterday, that would be Wednesday, and that would keep him out of games 2, 3, 4, and 5 if he also misses Wednesday. This is Steph Curry who spoke earlier today, a few hours ago. Target date to return. What is it?
Do you have like a target in your mind, or how are you kind of viewing this time?
This is new, and all that I'm learning about how quickly you can get back. There has to be a healing process that is just the way the body works. You can't accelerate it more than what it's telling you. So it'll be one of those after a week, like really reevaluating every day to kind of understand when it's safe just to even think about playing, let alone like how much can you push.
So he's a hamstring injury. It got suffered in the second quarter of game 1. At halftime, he was crying in the locker room. So that's how bad it was. Now, you're up 1-0. You probably lose tonight, so that gets to 1-1. Then you get 3 more games potentially that you could miss because the earliest people think he's going to come back is for game 6. I think you just got to win one of those games. If you just win one of those games and you could be down 3-2 when Steph comes back, you got a chance. Now, if you could win one of the next 3, including game 2, so 2, 3, 4, then do they go try to rush him back, go for the kill shot, or do they then even wait and maybe then make him miss a game 6? But I would say just win one more game by game 6 and then see if Steph could come on back and just add to his legacy. Finally, here's Steph Curry. Is it possible to play through the pain?
Eventually, there'll be conversations like that. I'm not even anywhere close to that right now, so I'm not rushing it. Like I said, there has to be a natural healing process that happens, and the body will tell you, even if you're able to do like normal basketball movements, staying free and all that stuff. And I know how tricky hamstrings can be, where they can fool you and think that it's healed even if you don't feel anything. And so that gray area will be confusing, I'm sure, but I'll do everything in my power to get back as soon as possible.
There you go. That's Steph Curry. All right, we'll ship up to Boston next on the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network, where the Celtics are shipping to New York with 2 L's on their resume. The Knicks have come back not once but twice in the first 2 games of this series when they were down by 20 points. New York is up 2-0 with Game 3 coming up on Saturday. Longtime WEEI host, the former voice of the Celtics as well, Glenn Ordway, the Big O, joins us next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. 2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to the Zach Gelb Show.
All right, it is Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. You know, you blow a 20-point lead in the postseason one time. I don't love it, but I get it. Like, it happens. The following game, though, you do it again. That's inconceivable to me. And both those games happen on your home court. That's what happened to the defending world champions in the Boston Celtics the first two games in their series up against the Knicks in Madison Square Garden right here in New York City. It is going to be mayhem on Saturday as the Knicks look to take a 3-0 series lead. Let's go out to someone that knows the Celtics very well. He used to be their radio voice. He's also a longtime talk show host, legendary in Boston. And that, of course, is the Big O in Glenn Ordway. Big O, appreciate the time. How you been, my friend?
You got it, Zach. How are you?
Well, I'm doing fantastic. So
Great.
If you just had to identify one person that Big O is most frustrated with right now in the Boston Celtics organization for these first two games, who would that person be?
I don't think it's one, but I think I would start with Joe Mazzulla. I mean, I think Joe Mazzulla does a good job of keeping these guys together during the course of the season. But we've seen this time and time again where you get big moments in games. And to me, NBA coaches are valuable, but they're not nearly as valuable as the players. Where they really are important is when you're coming up with key plays in the game. I thought it was an abomination that you do not call a timeout with 12 seconds remaining. The book calls for it. And the book also says that you shoot quickly so that you can, if you miss, you get the offensive rebound with the tap in. If you don't, get that rebound. The Knicks get it. You foul. They get 2 free throws, and you have one more possession in which you can tie and take the game in overtime. It's a chess game, and he's playing checkers out there. And Thibodeau is just simply out coaching him.
And I get it. He's not an emotional guy. There's times where they're winning. It sounds like they lost by 20 when he speaks to the media, and he's quirky whenever he talks to the press. I would have liked to have heard a little bit more energy, a little bit more fire, a little bit more accountability last night from the head coach of the Celtics.
Yeah, I would like to figure out, and I understand the strategy behind, the hack a foul on Mitchell Robinson. It makes sense. Pistons did the same thing. But why would you do it when they're not in the bonus? Why would you set them up in the bonus? And if you look back at the game, I'm not sure Brunson gets those free throws at the end because they're not into the bonus yet. You got to think these things out, and it's frustrating. But the second guy is Tatum. There's no denying it. I mean, Porzingis, I have no idea what's going on there. It's the strangest thing in the world, Zach. You know how good he is against the Knicks because he's got that vendetta and he wants to stick it to them. He has been useless in the first 2 games. And he was good down the stretch after he came back from the 11-game absence. But Tatum, if you want to be the face of the NBA, if you want to be one of those great players, if you want to be Kobe, you want to be LeBron, guess what? When your team is struggling out there, you need to take over the game. And he did not do that in either one of these games.
Yeah, how would you kind of describe Tatum? Because, I know he didn't win the Finals MVP last year, went to Jaylen Brown. He was annoyed with the lack of minutes in the Olympics. And now this year, hey, I want the Knicks to win this series. The Celtics are the better team. The Celtics should bare minimum be at 1-1. They should probably be up 2-0. And he's let this now slip away twice. So is Tatum not as great as people thought he was? Or was it maybe, all right, the guy he's a top 10 player in the league, but not a top 5 player?
Listen, he hasn't gotten the great recognition, and he's been all top 5 in the all NBA first team last few years. So I think he's up there in that spectrum. The problem is he's playing with so many good players on this team that people don't give him that recognition. I mean, Joker's the best player on the planet.
Yeah.
And he's struggled a little bit at times this year because he hasn't had the great players around him or the depth. I think Saturday is a gigantic game, not only for the Celtics, but really for the reputation of Tatum. I think Tatum must come out and have one of those monster games where he just leads his team. Jump on my back, fellas. I'm taking you to Game 3 win. He has to have one of those games, or I agree. I think he's going to drop in perception, and we know what happens. Once that happens, then people don't look at you as a first-team NBA. Maybe you're second team or third team. So I think he's got a lot at stake here, and it'll be interesting to see how he plays.
For the future of this team, let's just say they don't come back. Let's say the Knicks win this series. I heard Windhorst today on ESPN was saying, maybe they look to break up this group with new ownership coming in. He mentioned Al Horford. Like, if they get rid of Al Horford, all right, it could be time. But do you see any way this offseason where this new ownership group says, all right, Tatum or Brown, we'll keep Tatum and then get rid of Brown or vice versa?
No, I don't. But I do think they're going to make major changes. So they're being bought out by a group now that's paying $6 billion. They are going to break the record next year with a payroll of almost $500 million. It'll be much larger than Golden State, and we know what they had to deal with and go through. So I think you're going to see major changes. If Porzingis can't come back and give you anything here, he's a nice player. He makes them much, much better when he is healthy and he plays because he has a unique skill level that plays into what they're doing. But if he can't stay on the court, you can't pay him all of that money. You got to let him go. I think Holiday is another guy they'll look to move right now. Drew's getting up there in age. He's got little nicks and bruises here and there from time to time. So I think they pick it apart that way with Horford, Porzingis, try to find a younger big that they can depend on. And I think they hold on to Tatum and Brown. But if they go down and lose this series, and I still am not convinced they're going to lose the series, by the way, but if they lose this series, all bets are off, Zach, because I think the public, and Boston is a lot like New York.
Yeah.
Public is not going to take it. They're going to be screaming about fire the coach. And you know what? Brown and Tatum, they're vastly overrated. It becomes very difficult to deal with the noise in the market.
And Mazzulla, I think even if they lose this series, I think he'll be back next year. But that seat's on fire, especially when you see guys like Budenholzer win a championship, then get let go. Nick Nurse, even Mike Malone. Like, it's not crazy in the NBA where you win a championship and then a few years later you're out of a job.
Yeah, as I said, I think he's done a good job of keeping this group together, though they had a terrible record at home. And that may have something to do with the first 2 games that they took it for granted. We're at home, we can play. But you've sucked all year long at home. They have been a great road team.
Yeah.
And that's why I would caution Knicks fans. Game 3 and Game 4 is not a given. Knicks have not been a great home team, but the Celtics have been a phenomenal road team this year. And so they play much better for some reason on the road than they do at home. What we saw giving up big leads in those first 2 games in the series, we saw many times, Zach, during the regular season, and we saw it against some really just poor teams, to be honest with you. And so they've got a track record that is not good at home. They are much better, far more focused on the road.
Do they get both here in New York, or you think they just get one or none?
I think they get both of them.
Wow.
But I do think it's going 7. I do think they have put themselves in a position where they're going to have a scratch and claw right to the end. I mean, the one thing I'll say about the Knicks, and I've got Knicks fans all pissed off at me on X because
they're mad at you for what?
Yeah, because I don't think the Knicks are that good. I'm sorry, they're not that good. Now, I'm not trying to pick on them. They're a 50-win team. Brunson is not only an exciting player, but he's the guy that I want to have the ball in his hands at the end of a game. Towns is a terrific, big, offensive player. He can hurt you at the other end. That's why you've got Mitchell Robinson out there. And your other players like Bridges, they have had trouble fitting in. Now, they've done a good job through the first 2 games. Your role players have done a really good job through the first 2 games. The Knicks are playing their ass off. They are not quitting. I'll give them all the credit in the world for effort. The Celtics are just a much more talented team. And I think at the end of the NBA, in 7-game series, I think in the end, usually the best team wins.
Big O, Glenn Ordway here with us for a few more minutes. Give me a feel on the Patriots right now. Vrabel coming in. It should have happened last year. Mayo should have never been the coach. But when you look at this Mike Vrabel version of the Patriots and Drake May at the quarterback, it seems like the Patriots are starting to get back on the right track and headed in the right direction.
Yeah, I wouldn't go crazy. I know a lot of people are looking at, the draft and saying, well, they filled that position, they filled that position. Well, you never know. As you know, Zach, you never know with the draft what guys are going to do.
Chad Jackson was supposed to be great in the second round all those years ago.
Correct.
Oh,
and the Patriots have been awful over the years, track record, with guys in the second round, wide receivers in the second round. And so I still want to see it before I believe it. But really it comes down to Drake May. Is he going to get better here? I still think that the offensive line has a lot of questions, and we'll see how that plays out. Are they going to be better? Yes. But I think Boston people, some of the fans are going a little bit crazy when they're predicting 9 and 10 wins. That might be a stretch. Let's get to 7 first, okay? And then we can go from there and move on. But Vrabel, no question, has control of the franchise. He's the guy in charge, and I think that's a big difference from what we were dealing with last year. Who's in charge? Who's dealing with this? And Mayo seemed to be a little bit soft with taking charge and taking control. Players see that, and that creates a different type of atmosphere in that locker room.
If you were still hosting the big show in Boston right now on WEI, would Belichick, would that just be radio gold now with this 24-year-old girlfriend?
Oh my God. Are you kidding me? That would, oh my God. I mean, listen, if you want to have a relationship with somebody that's 50 years younger than you, okay. It's your private business and you can do whatever you want. And, some people will chuckle and laugh at it, but it's your private relationship. It's your private life. The problem I think Bill's made here, he's brought her into his public life.
Yeah.
And so instead of her being off limits, because wives, girlfriends, they're off limits, she is now on limits. And she has become a Saturday Night Live, included her in a skit this past Saturday night. And that's where you open up the door. You allow the public now to go at her, and she was a private person. So I've heard enough, and I've talked to enough players. And there's no question that players look at it and say, Bill always would tell us, never deal with distractions. We're going to eliminate them. And Bill has presented, I think, a major distraction for himself. And again, if you want to do it privately, some people would chatter, some people would talk. Yeah. You might say some stuff about it, but and people may snicker and laugh. But at least it's not going to be a disruption to what you're trying to get done. And I've never seen Bill Belichick. I interviewed Bill Belichick for an hour once a week during many of those years of that 20-plus year dynasty. I never had anybody ever come into the room and stop me in the middle of the interview and tell me that he can't answer that question.
He's had to answer questions after a murderer, right? With Hernandez. He could answer these questions about his relationship, like a lot more serious stuff.
Zach, I've been around a long time. I've dealt with a lot of people. I've never dealt with anybody that has been able to not answer a question, refuse to answer a question, or answer it in a much different manner than Bill Belichick. He can shut down a question better than anybody I have ever dealt with. And to have this 24-year-old girl come in the middle of an interview with CBS.
It's pathetic.
This is not a TikTok interview. It's CBS. I love Bill. I think he's a great coach. I'm a little bit confused as what's going on right now.
And I understand, right? He wants to have the relationship. God bless him, whatever, even though it's weird to me. But and I love the next guy I'm about to mention. You can't basically allow her to become what Bears Nigerian was for all these years, except you're sleeping with him. Like we all know the role that Bears play for. That's what she is. She's Bears, except she has Nookie with him.
Yeah, apparently he did an interview yesterday with Susie Welch over at NYU, and to promote the book. And I heard that, and you had, I think, tweeted it out. Somebody had told you she wasn't there, right?
My cousin was there. He texted me.
She wasn't there.
And I go, well, is she there? He goes, not that I could see it. Maybe she was backstage. I don't know. But he said he was looking the entire room for me. Could not find her.
I can tell you what she's doing this week. She's in Maine. She's part of the Miss Maine competition this week. So that's what she's doing this week. So maybe she's out of the picture. You brought up Bears Nigerian. He is now working with Billy O'Brien over at Boston College.
Yeah.
If I were Bill right now, I would, even though it might piss off Billy O'Brien, I would call Bears up and I'd say, how much do you want? Whatever you want. I'll write the check out right now. Please come in and help me. He did a phenomenal job over the years of being able to be that buffer in a professional way. And that's what he needs right now. Bill needs that.
Last thing I'll ask you, Big O, when we just get back to the Celtics. So Doc Rivers, I think when he was in Boston, a lot of us nationally thought he was this great coach, and since it hasn't aged well, is Mazzulla one of those Doc Rivers guy where you'll get a championship, but after that, it's not going to age all that well?
Yeah, I mean, the one thing we know about Doc Rivers is that he is another one of those guys that is great people person. So Doc is able to get teams to play together and be able to distribute the ball and things like that. And I think Joe has some of those qualities, and I'm not around there, so I don't see it, but I do hear and I do talk to a lot of people who tell me he's very good at that. But I think we've seen it time and time again, that when you get big plays out there in the court, he doesn't call a timeout. He goes totally against the book. And I'm not saying that at times you don't go totally against the book because you have great belief in somebody. But that last play, and then his excuse was, I didn't have to call the timeout. We knew what the play was. It was going to be that straight dunk. And, of course, the Knicks saw that Tatum had the ball. They knew Tatum wasn't giving up the ball. So what did they do? Well, they knew that the pick was coming. And the first time when he dunked it, that pick was at midcourt. Next time it was top of the three. So the Knicks adjusted with that. You got to understand stuff like that. That's the stuff that just drives me crazy. And maybe it's an experience, but come on. When you have a group that is loaded with this type of talent, then you got to be able to make the right decisions. And if you're inexperienced, that's a major, major problem. This looks like the Celtics team we saw 3-4 years ago when they were trying to find themselves, losing to Miami and things like that. They were trying to find themselves. This is a polished team. This is a really talented NBA roster.
And you start to wonder that championship was just an anomaly with what you've seen the last two nights. He's Glenn Ordway, radio legend up in Boston. Appreciate it, Glenn. Thanks so much.
Always great talking to you, Zach. Have a good one.
You got it. There he is, Big O. Always enjoy his conversations with us on the show. We'll take a time out. We'll come on back. We'll talk a little pressure on teams that have it going to the conference finals, trying to advance to the conference finals. Do that on the other side. Update time first. Here's Zach.
Infinity Sports Network Sports Flash.
Well, the Warriors took the opener from the Timberwolves, but lost Steph Curry in the process, and tonight is Game 2, with the future Hall of Famer missing a playoff game for the first time since 2018 due to a grade 1 hamstring strain. The Warriors have been able to win without him in the past, 8-3 in playoff games that he's missed. Head coach Steve Kerr said they'll just have to figure out a way once again.
It's all part of it. I mean, every year,
playoffs are about adapting, whether it's a game plan or an injury or a lineup. So we just have to adapt, and we've done this before, and we're confident we can do this again.
The Wolves had disappointments throughout the lineup in the series opener when they were 1 for 17, or I should say 17% from three-point range. The Pirates fired manager Derek Shelton after a 12-26 start, with bench coach Don Kelly taking over. Action today, the Royals lead the White Sox big 7-0 bottom of the 8th, while the Tigers on top of the Rockies 9-1 in the bottom half of the 6th in Colorado. These are finals. It was the Twins down in the Orioles 5-2, and the Red Sox blanked the Rangers by a score of 5-0. The Anaheim Ducks have named Joel Quenneville their new head coach. I'm Richard.
Hey, like us on Facebook. Our handle is INF Sportsnet. That's INF Sportsnet for our Facebook page. This is the Infinity Sports Network.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. 1 minute remaining. Five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
You're listening to the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network.
All righty, this is Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. This portion of the show is brought to you by Ethos Life, the easy way to get life insurance in 10 minutes, up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Just a few health questions. Get your free quote at checkethos.com. Not available in all states. Rams defensive back Quentin Lake is going to stop by. And that's going to happen at 5:20 p.m. Eastern time today, 2:20 p.m. Pacific. Had a nice season registering 73 tackles this past year for the Rams, who made it all the way to the second round of the playoffs, where they came up just short in the snow up against the Philadelphia Eagles. And there's high expectations for the Rams heading into this season. So we'll chat it up with Quentin Lake coming up in a bit on the show. Good stuff with Glenn Ordway in the Big O joining us a few moments ago. Let's go around the room here. Here's the question. I'll give you my answer first, then I'll get Santa, then I'll get Stu. Who has the most pressure to advance to the conference finals? So right now, you see the New York Knicks are up 2-0 up against the Boston Celtics. You see the Indiana Pacers are up 2-0 against the Cleveland Cavaliers. The Denver Nuggets and the Oklahoma City Thunder, they are tied up at 1 apiece after the Thunder just stomped and obliterated the Nuggets last night, but Denver got the Game 1 victory, so that series all tied up at 1. Steph Curry now injured, expected to miss about a week, maybe more, maybe less, we don't know. But the Warriors did take Game 1, and now a lot of us expect that the Timberwolves will bounce back and grab Game number 2 and even up that series at 1 apiece. But where we're at currently positioned right now, who has the most pressure to advance to the conference finals? And I was going to answer this one way, and I'm sure one of you will take the guy that I'm not going to pick here, because I think it's obvious. But I'm going to go Joe Mazzulla here. And this is why. You may say, Zach, come on. You're going to trash the Celtics if they lose this series or they don't get back to the conference finals after winning the championship last year. I understand that. But going into this series, no one was picking the Knicks. No one. And I understand in the NBA, the players are the last people to get held accountable. And usually when you're about to shred an organization, especially in the NBA, the coach goes first, then the players get the runt of the criticism. Like you look at Nick Nurse, won a championship in Toronto, eventually was let go. You look at Mike Malone, won a championship in Denver, eventually was let go. Mike Budenholzer won a championship in Milwaukee. He was not only let go from Milwaukee, he was already let go from Phoenix. So it happens, and we've had an avalanche recently of coaches in the NBA winning championships and then be letting go a few years later. So I look at Joe Mazzulla, who he was not originally the guy in Boston, right? It was Brad Stevens, and Ime Udoka took over, and everyone realized Ime Udoka is this very good coach, but then Ime Udoka, let's be real, what he was doing off the court and sleeping with people and all those allegations, and we know the guy's a phenomenal head coach because look what he's doing with the Houston Rockets right now. But Mazzulla got that job, and people didn't think he should have got that job. And then he won a championship last year. So people were in on Joe Mazzulla. But Joe Mazzulla has zero personality. Joe Mazzulla really doesn't, I don't want to say he doesn't hold his players accountable, but he never looks to get angry on a podium, show a little emotion, which is something that needs to happen when you're playing in a big city, a big passionate sports city like Boston. And the approach and the strategy by the Celtics has already been taken to the woodwork here when you look at what has transpired the last 2 games. And remember, you have new ownership coming on in. To be clear, regardless of even if the Celtics get swept in this series and they lose Saturday and Monday, Mazzulla's coming back. Tatum's coming back. Brown's coming back. And I think Brown will be the third person in terms of the most criticism out of those 3. I think the 2 most guys in that organization that people will be critical of is Tatum and Mazzulla. But just naturally in sports, we turn on the coach first before the player. Now, for Tatum, it could be 3 strikes, you're out, right? Didn't play great last year when they won a championship. Even though you won a championship, so it's tough to count that as a strike. The Olympics, you were annoyed with your role. But then was it validated with the postseason performance right now that has been lackluster? So it's still a far way to go. But just to get to the conference finals, I think Mazzulla's the guy that's under the most pressure right now. Samter, who is yours?
I'm going to go SGA, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander.
Okay, now I'll let you explain in just a second. The guy that I'm about to that I wanted to mention that I didn't when I went Mazzulla, still on the board. Just saying. So a lot of pressure on Stu. Stu, now there's a lot of pressure on you. You better get the guy.
Well, there is another guy I was going to mention, but I'll explain why I didn't pick him after Stu goes with his. So I'm going with SGA. 2 years in a row, the Thunder have been the number 1 seed in the West. Last year, they got bounced in the second round to the Mavs. They cannot get bounced again in the second round. If you're the number 1 seed, whether you win the title or not, you're at least expected to get to the Western Conference Finals. And if you fail to get there 2 years in a row as the 1 seed, as good as SGA is, that's a problem.
And also, let's be real. I love Nikola Jokic. He's the best player in the league by far. This was a team that 3 games before the postseason started, they got rid of their coach and the general manager, and all of us were counting them out. So, all right, SGA is a good one, and I have Mazzulla off the board. Stu, let's see if you can land the plane here. A lot of pressure on you.
I think it's Jayson Tatum.
Wow.
Yeah, I do. I just think the way we view him, obviously he won the championship last year, didn't win the Finals MVP, had the whole Olympics thing with Kerr. I just think if we're talking about Tatum as
the NBA postseason is so dragged out and it's so spread out to begin with. I'm sitting there and I'm like, are we getting games 2, 3, 4, and 5 all by Wednesday? But that's the case here. Because you got game 2 tonight on Thursday, game 3 Saturday, game 4 is Monday, and then game 5 is Wednesday. So I think at this rate, if you're a Golden State Warriors fan, you're already up 1-0. Even if it means Steph is going to miss the next 4, you just got to say, okay, win 1. Now, if he could get back for game 5, and you tell me he's only missing 3, if you just win one of those games, then it's 2-2, and you get Steph Curry back, and it becomes a best of 3. Now, the only other series that we have not mentioned was the Pacers and the Cavs. That series is at 2-0 as well, where the road team got both of the games on the road in Cleveland. Cleveland, you have no clue who's going to be able to play for them. And that series, it does feel over. Like the Knicks and the Celtics, I do think the Knicks are going to win the series, but I'm not ready to say that series is definitely over. When I look at the Cavs and the Pacers, you have 3 injuries that the Cavs are dealing with to 3 good players. And also, you're going back to Indiana, and the Cavs, even though they've been one of the better teams in the NBA this year and the best team in the East this year, the Cavs don't have a championship pedigree. So there's no fear, like how people still fear Boston coming on back because they won a championship last year. That fear of Cleveland is non-existent. Quite frankly, I wasn't one of these people. But there were people throughout the regular season that were like, all right, the Cavs, 60 wins, Cavs, all right. Number 1 seed in the East. But really, does it even matter? Like, are they going? Did people really believe that they were going to the championship when the postseason started? Were they going to the NBA Finals? No, most people didn't. So in this case, you look at the 4 matchups that we're currently in and the 4 series that we're currently in. Stu, if you had to repredict with what we saw right now, Cavs, Pacers. Do you feel like that's over and the Pacers go to the conference finals?
I do. I think that's going to be over pretty quickly, like 5 games.
Knicks, Celtics. Where are you at with the New York Knicks being up 2-0 in this series?
I think it's a toss-up. I think it's going 7, and we'll see what happens in 7.
If it does get to 7, are you picking the Celtics?
If it does get to 7, I mean, they've not been good at home. I don't know. I think the Knicks could win a Game 7 on the road.
All right. So right now, if you had to pick.
I'd say the Knicks.
Okay. So you'd have Knicks and Indiana in the conference finals.
It's like it's the late 90s again.
Oh, my God. It's crazy. In the Western Conference, you take a glance right now with what you've seen. Thunder and Nuggets, 1-1. Game 1, Denver stole it. Game 2, the Thunder just stomped Denver out. What would you say there?
I think the Thunder are going to win in 6.
I think the Thunder are going to win that series as well. Timberwolves and Warriors. Warriors are up 1-0, but now there's a lot of uncertainty with one Steph Curry and his health.
I think the Timberwolves are going to win.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think Pacers and Knicks, we're seeing it. I don't think it's going 7. I don't. I think this is going. I think this is Knicks in 6. I do. I think the Knicks split Saturday, Monday. Then you have Game 5 on Wednesday. I do think that Wednesday you get a Celtics victory, and then Game 6, I think the New York Knicks take it on their home court of Madison Square Garden. In the West, I think the Thunder are the best team in the league. I think the only reason why people get a little hesitant with the Thunder is just because they haven't done it yet. But I think the Thunder not only beat the Nuggets, I do think the Thunder will beat either the Warriors or the Timberwolves. I think the Thunder are going to the NBA Finals. But right now, I would take the Timberwolves. And the reason I take the Timberwolves is just, you don't only know what you don't not only know when Steph is going to come back. When he does come back, how effective is he going to be with this hamstring injury? So I think we're on a collision course where it's Thunder and Timberwolves, and it's the Knicks and the Pacers, just like how we all predicted before the NBA postseason started, right? Right, Stu? That's how everyone thought it was going to happen. Who would you say goes to finals now? I'm going to say it's going to be Thunder, Knicks. Well, you get the Isaiah Hardenstein storyline
revenge,
there.
yeah.
I'm going to say the Thunder are going to be your NBA champion this year.
I would say Thunder over Knicks in 5.
Ooh, okay.
I think it's a bad matchup for the Knicks.
You got to be careful walking the streets of New York, my friend. Say it in 5. I can't really disagree with you, but man, you got to be careful. A lot of people in the streets in
just building
in New
alone.
York. I saw Hickey tweet out, you better wear a helmet walking around New York. This is dumb.
I saw that, yeah.
Because these Knicks fans are going to be going crazy. Wear a helmet walking around New York City any day of the week. Like the things that you see walking around this city, I don't think have any impact if the Knicks are good or not. If I'm being fair here, in terms of where I'm fearing walking around the city with the helmet on my cabeza. But it has been fun being here in New York with this run. The tickets are crazy. I just read an article. It's Super Bowl pricing to get into the building at Madison Square Garden. Now, I don't think I'm going Saturday. There's an outside chance I'm going Monday. I actually thought going Wednesday to Boston, doing the show at EEI, and then afterwards going to the game in Boston on a press pass or something. Now, I'm not doing that because I looked, and I've done this drive from New York to Boston many times. But getting to TD Garden is a mess. And I'd be leaving our show, right? We get up there at 6, and the traffic is unbearable in Boston. Sometimes to go 3 miles in Boston will take you an hour. Stupid. So I then saw the projected travel time, right? From the city here in New York to Boston, 5 hours to get to TD Garden. It seems like a lot. And then I go, okay, you get out at 6. Let's say the game starts at 7:30. Yeah, I would get there, but I'd be so antsy in terms of just nervous and the traffic, and I'd be cursing on the road and road rage. So I told our bosses here, David Marinick, I'm good. I'm not taking the trip up to Boston. So I'm trying to get in the building, I think, on Monday. Saturday, you want to know what I'm doing Saturday? But you're more than welcome to come if you would like, Stu. Or Samter. Saturday, I'm going to Mason Jar in the city during the day with Carlos with a K. Carlos with the K and I I told him a month ago, because I have a 20-game plan for the Metsies this year, and my buddy can't go that I split the tickets with for the Cubs game Saturday night. I told Carlos with a K I'd take him to the Cubs-Mets game, because he's a huge Cubs fan. And by the way, trash-talking regular season baseball is just so lame. Carlos with the K, I woke up from a text from him this morning, with a text from him. And he's like, the Mets have no chance this week. He goes, the Pope is also a Cubs fan. Let's bleep and go. You guys are getting swept in all caps this weekend. It's like, pipe down. All right, Buttercup, pipe down a little bit. It's regular season baseball. It's May right now. We're not in August. We're not in September. It's not October. I'm not doing trash talk like this is Giants, Eagles or something like that, or Bears, Packers or something like that. It's a regular season. It's a regular season baseball game in May. So Carlos with a K and I are going to watch the Knicks game at Mason Jar, and then we're going to take, I think we have to get on the 6 to then transfer at for the 7 line, and we're going to Subway. We're hard hat guys. No Uber, no Long Island Railroad, even though I prefer to take the Long Island Railroad if I'm being honest. But just because we wanted to go to Mason Jar, it's easier to take the 7 line. We're going to 7 line to the baseball game, 7:15 first pitch. So the Knicks start at 3:30. I told Carlos, if the Knicks game runs late, we're going to be late to the Mets-Cubs game. It's a regular season baseball game. But 3:30, it should be over by 6:15, right? At the absolute latest.
Yeah, unless it goes overtime, yeah. 6:15, 6:20.
And it takes us an hour to get to the stadium. Now, here's my fear. I got to work on Sunday. I'm hosting on the Fan in New York City from 12 to 3:25, I think, Eastern. Carlos with the K, if he's expecting me to just be drinking this entire day, that's like I will have a beer or two at Mason Jar, maybe a beer at the game, and that's it. Like, I'm not looking to have more than 3 beers because I was just in Las Vegas. And I'll tell you, I thought I was getting better. Like yesterday, I felt okay. Monday, I felt dead. Tuesday, I felt dead. Wednesday, I started to feel like my body was getting out of the casket. I feel horrible today. Like, I have reached the point in my life now where I'm not an old man. I'm not a grandpa. I'm only 30 years old. But I go on a trip like Vegas and I do Vegas right. I'm in a lot of pain still. And I thought it was going to take me a few days to recover. We're now sitting here where it's day number 4 of recovery, and it's not getting any better. So I'm hurting. And I have to go out tomorrow night. Like, I'm not getting bleep face, as the kids would say, or sloshed. But after having to have a few drinks on Friday, Carlos with a K, don't have high expectations on Saturday. And that rat, by the way, Carlos with a K, yeah, Stu, he's a rat.
Why is he a rat?
He lost the bet to me.
I was going to ask, is this the bet payoff?
No. So he, to his credit, he has asked me like twice to go get dinner with him. He owes me dinner. The 2 times he's asked me, I've legitimately been busy. I've had plans. So he wanted to give me like an authentic Puerto Rican dinner, I think it was, is what we agreed to. So I said, if you want to just pay off your bet and pick up the tab for lunch, fine by me. I'm not going to be all upset. He's like, nope. Authentic Puerto Rican dinner. That's what you're getting. So now not only do I have to hang out with Carlos with a K on Saturday, I'm then going to want to cash in on my bet. And also, I'm going to have to see Carlos with a K because DA, right, David Amendolar, who used to work here, he invited me to their Bob's Bar show in early June, and Carlos told me he's going to that. So there's a lot of Carlos with a K time with your boy Zach Gelb. And I went to a Mets-Cubs game last year with Carlos with a K. And like he almost got into a fight. Because he was talking smack to the Mets fans. Like he thought he was an umpire at the game. He's doing like the strike 3 call. He's like, right in there, strike 3, yeah! So Carlos with a K, he's got to just tone it down a drop. Just a drop. That's me telling him to tone it down just a drop. So it should be an eventful Saturday with Carlos with a K. I like Carlos, though. He's fun, even though I just called him a rat. But he does owe me money or dinner because he was stupid being a big, dumb Giants homer that he is, saying, oh, Saquon Barkley would only... I was imitating like Hickey and Marash there for a second. But anyway, he was like, oh, yeah, Saquon Barkley is not going to play more than 7 games. 7 games. I won that bet. It wasn't even Thanksgiving yet. And I already won that bet.
I'm going to have to wait to Thanksgiving to get this bet paid off.
Yeah, Thanksgiving in 4 years. Seriously. Oh, my God. All right, Quentin Lake from the Rams going to join us on the other side. It is Zach Gelb Show right here on Infinity Sports Network.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. 30 seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to the Zach Gelb Show.
Alrighty, this is Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. We'll spend a few minutes right now talking about the LA Rams, a team that I have high expectations for once again. When the football season does roll around come September, Quentin Lake is a phenomenal defensive back for the LA Rams, and he's kind enough to join us right now. Quentin, appreciate the time. Thanks so much for doing this. How you been?
I have been fantastic. The weather's great in Southern California, so I can't complain about that. But other than that, I'm feeling great. Team looks good. Body feels great. So a lot of blessings in my life.
And I saw the other day you guys are having mandatory minicamp in Maui. That's a pretty good deal for you guys.
The Rams do it kind of differently. They've really expanded their brand out to, all these international places. And luckily enough, we kind of have a little bit of in common with, Hawaii. Obviously, they had an unfortunate situation not too long ago with the fires. And obviously, Los Angeles was decimated by fires as well. So for us, it's amazing to go out there, kick our feet up, enjoy that Hawaii weather, but also, get to show our support to the island of Maui, do a couple kids camps, be in the community, and just show that, the Rams community and the Rams organization has their back.
I know a lot of times, right, you forget that we forget that football players are humans and have to deal with regular stuff and tragedies like we have to. How do you just look back at the horrible situation that occurred out there with the wildfires as you guys were going through a season?
Yeah, it's tough because funny story, like the week of our first playoff game, the first round, we are practicing, and I shit you not, I look right and there's another fire that pops up the middle of practice. Obviously, that whole week we knew the Palisades fire were going on. But there was another fire not too far away, and we looked up and we saw it. And Coach McVay did a great job because a lot of players lived over in that area, so you just never know, was it going to affect them or was it not? And so he huddled us up and said, "Hey, if you guys have to go rush home, depending on where you live and all that stuff, make sure you guys go handle your business, get your family safe." But it was very distracting. But at the end of the day, we knew, hey, we have our team. We have everybody that we need. And we ended up, one of my teammates, Tyler Higbee, said it looked like Noah's Ark when we were traveling. We took 2 big planes over to Arizona. Luckily enough, the Cardinals gave us the opportunity to use their facility. But yeah, man, it was crazy. I've been around fires being out here for my whole life. 2018, 2019, there were also some fires, but this was something different, especially being in the NFL and how the whole situation was. It wasn't easy, but, we handled it well. So it was good.
How do you look back, Quentin Lake, at last season? You guys made it to the second round. I was there at that game in the snow up against Philadelphia. You're right there at the end. Yeah. It's not crazy to say that if you guys won that game, maybe you guys end up going to a Super Bowl a week later and you win that NFC Championship game. But when you look back at this past season, what are the things that really stand out to you?
Coach has talked about it over the last couple of weeks. We're built for it. You look at the last 2 seasons, we were -3 games going into the bye. And then we end up coming out, really, really strong, after that bye week. So we know how to overcome adversity. Last season, there were a lot of ups and downs, injuries, things didn't go our way, some games that, we wish we would have had back. But you look at kind of our run, the last, I would say 7 or 8 games. I mean, it was phenomenal football. The thing that really was, I'm not going to say disappointing, but you're so close, You win the game against Philadelphia, you play at home at SoFi Stadium, especially after what LA had dealt with, that is like that's why it was the magnitude was so much. And that's why like it really hit home for me and really hit home for a lot of the players, because it's like we all in our mind, if we beat Philly, we were going to the Super Bowl. Like, I'm not going to say we look past the Commanders, but we were like, man, if we win, coming home and playing that game, the stakes were so high and we were so ready. Unfortunately, it didn't go our way. We were 14 yards away from, playing the NFC Championship, but that season was one of the most memorable seasons. I know if you ask anybody else, they'll say the same thing, but we got a good team this year, so I'm expecting big things as well.
Bad weather is a part of football. It happens. Sometimes people use it as an excuse. Do you feel like the weather did impact that game?
For sure. For sure. I almost had an interception. I couldn't see the ball. It speared me in the head. So yeah, the elements play a factor. They do. Not that, people say like, oh, if we played on turf or we played in good weather, like the Eagles would have whipped our ass. Like, you never know. You could say whatever, but like it was snowing. It is what it is. Both teams have to deal with it, and it's really at that point, it's who can manage the elements better. We didn't come out with it, but the elements, that snow, that was my first time in snow too. First time snow game.
Oh, really?
It was awesome. Yeah, it was awesome. So, that's what you live for football. That's why I'm glad like a lot of the teams that are in the, the Northeast, they don't have indoor stadiums, because you really get that real football grit and grime, mud in your helmet, snow in your shoes and all that stuff. It was awesome. That would be, one of my top games ever.
Obviously, there was disappointment, but with how close you guys were and the team that you guys knew you had, like, what do you remember from the plane ride back, coming back from Philly?
Oh, it wasn't as bad as the year prior. I'll tell you that. So the year prior in Detroit, we were on the tarmac for 6 hours. We were on the tarmac for 6 hours because our plane, the tubes that needed to refill the plane, they were frozen over.
Oh, that's right.
So
Yeah.
we were sitting there. But in terms of the Philadelphia game, man, like, you always get, everybody talks about like this what if factor. Like, what if, what if this, what if that, what if this play happened or this play happened, or, certain things in the game just went our way. So that's like, you talk about that all the time, when you go through losses as an NFL player. There's this big like what if this, what if that. And that's usually what happens within like the first hour and a half. And then after that, you just kind of shut it off. You guys are laughing and giggling, kind of understanding like, man, we had a great season. Despite the loss, it was a great season. Did we come up short? Yes, but you look at from where we came from, like no one even thought we were going to get to the point we were. So there was a lot of positive in the negative. But yeah, once you get through that past first kind of like 2 hours, everything's kind of lighthearted.
Quentin Lake here with us from the Rams. Last year I picked you guys to win the Super Bowl before the start of the season. And I looked at the defense, and I was a big fan of Verse. I was a big fan of Fisk before the season started. But there was always this thought of me, how long was it going to take for this team to really learn how to play without Aaron Donald, just how great he was for so long? Like, the defense was really good last year. Do you feel like you guys could get better, and it will be easier now this year because now you've already dealt a full year with the great Aaron Donald no longer on your team?
Yeah, I have no doubt that we're going to be better. Chris Shula, our defensive coordinator, does a great job of highlighting player strengths. And we kind of had to find our identity a little bit throughout the season last year. But I would say this, like being a rookie, having success as a rookie, fantastic. But it's almost like when you make the jump from year one to year two, your game can really, really take off. So the young front that we have, and I would just say overall, the young defense that we have, like, to build the rapport that we are going through, all this whole offseason program and then into training camp, like, I have no doubt in my mind that we'll be one of the top defenses. We have all the pieces that we need to be able to do it. And I can see it, I can see it in terms of the communication, how hard we play, and really how connected we are as a group. So, yeah, we lost Aaron Donald, but no one that was the same question that you asked this year was the same question everybody had last year is, what is this Rams defense going to do without Aaron Donald? And we showed you. Now everybody's saying, oh my gosh, this Ram defense is so good. what can they accomplish now? No one's even saying like, are they going to be able to do it without Aaron Donald again? We kind of formed our identity without him. So I'm excited, man. It's going to be great. We put the world on notice now. It's really time to go solidify ourselves as a top defense in the NFL.
And then on the flip side, we know Stafford is as good as they come in the NFL. I know you guys lost Cooper Kupp this offseason, but you end up getting Devontae Adams, and then you have Puka Nacua, who's already a young star in this league, and Kyron Williams is a touchdown machine. It's just it's a well-balanced machine that you guys got going right now in LA.
Yeah, it's exciting. 30 minutes ago, I was, we were all out on the field together and just seeing how smooth the routes are. Now, Matthew Stafford, he's Hall of Fame, no doubt. You can stamp it right now. He's a Hall of Fame quarterback. But to have a high-powered offense with, I would say, easily a top 3 wide receiver duo, a great running back, good O-line, and then a Hall of Fame quarterback, man, like you would hope, and I have no doubt, like 30+ points a game. It's exciting, but even as a defensive player for myself, it's exciting to go against them each and every day and have that challenge. That same thing of like, what if, like, you're like, oh my gosh, like, I hope we put up 30, or it should be like a touchdown every single drive. It's exciting. Like, so not only as players are excited, I know the fans are excited, but as players too, you're like, oh my God, I can't wait till we get to Sundays to really see like, what is Coach McVay going to cook up? Seeing these guys play in a real game. I've obviously seen Puka and Kyron. They've done it all the time, but then Devontae too. Like I've gone against them, and I'm like, oh my gosh. But then to have him on our team, like, it's fantastic. So I'm excited. It is going to be one hell of a season. I have no doubt.
Yeah, and what is it like, just the human side of it? Because you have these relationships formed, and there was all these rumors this offseason about Matthew Stafford. Is he going to get traded? Is he going to get the contract done? Then you say goodbye to Cooper Kupp. Those two guys who are huge pieces in your locker room. Obviously, the deal got taken care of with Matthew Stafford, but to see Cooper Kupp go, how did you kind of react to both those storylines this offseason?
Yeah, I texted Cooper instantly. He was a fantastic teammate, fantastic father, just a person in general. So when you lose a guy like that, you're like, dang, what are we going to do now? How are you going to replace him? How are you going to kind of work around, such a, not only a void on the field, but a presence in the locker room too. Obviously, the Rams do a great job of finding great players. So we got Devontae, but initially I was, I kind of was like, dang, it's unfortunate. But also as being in it for 3 years now, you understand the business side of it too. Certain moves just have to be made. And I wish him nothing but the best. I'm actually glad he stays in our division because I'll be able to talk some smack to him, when we play the Seahawks 2 times a year. So it's going to be fun. The battles will continue, at least on the field. And I know, it's a place he's familiar with. It's a place that's close to home. So I'm wishing him nothing but the best. And then in terms of Matthew Stafford, I was like, oh my gosh, please. Like, we have to keep him. You have to, because it's like, then you got to go through the whole draft, you got to find a quarterback. You might have to give up, certain picks. And the whole situation with that just seems like it was going to be complicated. It just seems like, we have our guy, Matthew Stafford, he's our guy. Like, he is our guy. So for him to get that figured out, for him to be able to, come back to the Rams, nothing but a blessing. I was excited. Great human being. So, when you have the right people in the building, the right culture in the building, I mean, you're lining yourself up for success.
Just out of curiosity, you come from a football family, obviously. You've now been in the NFL for a few years. We know what this defense is capable of. The area, obviously, going to UCLA and now being with the Rams. Yeah. What's that next step for you individually? What do you want to show people this year after the good start to your career that you've had, Quentin Lake?
Yeah. I've moved a lot. I really want to solidify myself as, a top defender in the NFL. And I feel like I can do that. I feel like, with this defense, with this team, that it is definitely a possibility. At the end of the day, I think, I want to put myself in a position to make plays, but also put myself in a position where it helps our team win. Because at the end of the day, it's about wins and losses, no matter what. So, I have individual goals that I want to get to, but at the end of the day, you got to win games and you got to be out there too. So I always think starting small, play every game, which thank God I was able to do that last game. And really the tape's going to show for itself. I'm getting more and more comfortable, been in the league, gaining more experience. So I have no doubt in my mind that it won't be a surprise if I do everything that I'm supposed to, that you'll be looking like, man, not even who is this kid, but man, this is a damn good football player. He's one of the top in the NFL.
Love that answer. Last thing I'll ask you, just getting back to your division, there's a lot of differentiating views and opinions on Brock Purdy. You have to go up against him. How do you view Brock Purdy as an NFL quarterback?
I'll say this. Being a late round guy, I'm happy for him. Happy for all the success he's had. Happy for the things that he's done. I mean, the accolades and success shows for itself. Has been to a Super Bowl, been to multiple NFC championships. But we'll see. They lost some key pieces. And it's always good battles going against the 49ers. So pay him as much as you want. Do what you got to do to keep him there. My mindset's not going to change. At the end of the day, we got to beat the 49ers. So it doesn't matter if it's Brock Purdy or anybody else. They're going to have to line it up too. I think, he's maximized what he's did at the 49ers. And I think that's good for him.
Do you feel like they're still obviously you think you guys are the best team in the NFC West. Do you feel like the Niners are the second best team in that division?
It's hard to say. Personally, I think we're the best in the division, but it really could be a toss up this year for that number 2 spot. Cardinals, I feel like they got some key pieces in the offseason. They just paid their tight end. They got Josh Sweat from the Eagles, so they got some good pieces. The Seahawks, they've always consistently had a good defense. So I'm kind of curious to see what their offense is going to do. And then you can never sleep on the 49ers. I mean, Kyle Shanahan has always got a good scheme. So as long as it works for us, I don't really care. Like, you can 2, 3, 4, it doesn't matter. It could go Cardinals, Seahawks, 49ers, Seahawks, Cardinals, Seahawks, 49ers. It doesn't matter. Whoever, best of luck for the number 2 spot, but it's going to be second place.
Well, really appreciate the conversation. Love your story from a 6th-round pick. Also, the football family background that you have and what you've been able to do in this league so far. Nothing but good health and good luck this upcoming season. I
appreciate it. Thank you so much for having me on, too.
There you go. Quentin Lake. Really enjoyed that conversation. Wonderful stuff with him, giving us some time here on the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. We'll take a break. We'll come on back. I want to revisit a conversation from the other day. Tyreek Hill gave his top 5 quarterbacks in the NFL. Who are my top 5 quarterbacks? And I think there's a big conversation on who's the 5th best quarterback in the NFL, because I think the first 4 are fairly obvious. We'll take a break, though. We'll come on back after this. Update time. Here's Zach.
Infinity Sports Network Sports Flash.
Well, the Timberwolves will try to regroup tonight against a Warriors team that will be without its biggest star in Steph Curry. The future Hall of Famer will miss the next week with a strained hamstring. On the other side, the Wolves need to worry about their game as they really struggled in the series opener, and Dante DiVincenzo said it was a wake-up call.
That's exactly what the feeling was across the board for everybody. Everybody in that room. There wasn't one person, I guess you would say, there was nobody safe in that room today. And we needed it. And we'll be ready to go tomorrow.
DiVincenzo had only 7 points in Game 1, while the team was 5 for 29 from three-point range. The Pirates fired manager Derek Shelton with the team at 12-26, last in the NL Central by a wide margin. Bench coach Don Kelly takes over. There were several games in the major leagues this afternoon. Casey Mize improved to 6-1 in the Tigers' 10-2 win in Colorado. The Royals blanked the White Sox 10-0. Kyle Bubic went the first 7, gave up just 6 hits on the day in the victory. The Red Sox down the Rangers by a score of 5-0, and the Twins topped the Orioles by a score of 5-2. I'm Rich Ackerman.
This is the Infinity Sports Network. Follow us on Instagram. Our handle is Infinity Sports Network. That's Infinity Sports Network to follow us on Instagram.
You're in a 5-minute break. 4 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Rock your body, yeah. Hey, this is Howie.
And this is Nick
From the Backstreet Boys.
and you're listening to the Zach Gelb Show. And guess what? Zach is back. All right.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show.
Oh my God, we're
All right,
back
final
again.
segment of the day. It is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. I'll tell you, whenever we talk to someone on the Rams, I always enjoy the conversation. Jared Verse, great interview. Braden Fisk, great interview. Quentin Lake, great interview as well. For some reason, I don't know why. Anytime we get a Rams guest on, they end up being a very good conversation. So I appreciate him jumping on board with us a few moments ago. If you missed it, obviously, you could use the rewind function on the free Odyssey app for the next 24 hours. You could also find the podcast version of it wherever you may choose to elect to listen to your podcast. Just search the Zach Gelb Show. And you could also find it on my Twitter and Instagram on our feeds, at Zach Gelb. That's ZACHGELB. The other day, we played you this audio, and it was Tyreek Hill listing his top 5 quarterbacks in the NFL. And Tyreek Hill said Baker Mayfield was a top 5 quarterback, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, and then, Joe Shiesty, Joe Burrow. So those are the top 5 quarterbacks that Tyreek Hill did give. Now, if he didn't say Tua Tagovailoa a year ago, I wouldn't be sitting here now saying, oh, that's a big deal. But he did say that in July that Tua was a top 5 quarterback. And now heading into this season, by giving his 5 quarterbacks and his quarterback Tua Tagovailoa not being on there, he's saying that Tua is not a top 5 quarterback, which I think anyone with a brain wouldn't argue it. But with how outspoken and how vocal Tyreek Hill has been supporting Tua, and now he's not, it makes me say Tyreek Hill's getting tired of Miami. And if you couldn't already put that together, just listen to him at the end of the season. And I do think there's some accountability that has to be placed on Tyreek Hill. But let's be real. If you're holding your breath, waiting for Tyreek Hill to take accountability, you'd already be dead by now. So that's something to monitor. But let's advance this conversation forward. Stu, just give me a yes or no. Or actually, not even a yes or no. Who are the first 4 best quarterbacks in the? If you say your top 4 quarterbacks in the NFL, not 5, 4 in order, who are they?
That would be Mahomes, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow.
Okay, I agree with you. Right?
Yeah, easy.
Everyone would say in some order, those 4 quarterbacks, whether you want to move Lamar and Allen and Burrow around, sure. It starts with Mahomes 1. For me, it goes Josh Allen 2. I then put Lamar Jackson 3 and Joe Burrow 4. The 5th best quarterback in the NFL, I would say it's Jalen Hurts. Would you, Stu?
I would also say it's Jalen Hurts.
Okay. So I'm curious, though, who else fits in to the top 5 conversation? Like, we're both in agreement it's Jalen Hurts. That's our list, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No debate from either one of us. I'll give you a name. Do you consider these quarterbacks in the top 5 conversation? Do you consider Jaden Daniels in the top 5 conversation?
Yes, even after 1 year, I do.
Do you consider C.J. Stroud in the top 5 conversation?
I do.
Okay. Do you consider Justin Herbert in the top 5 conversation?
I do not.
I would agree. Jared Goff?
I do not.
I would agree. Jordan Love?
No.
I would agree. Matthew Stafford?
He's interesting. I don't think anymore. Not top 5, no.
Okay, I would. Brock Purdy?
No.
I think that's right where you draw the line in the sand. Am I missing anyone? Is anyone's a glaring omission there? I have one for you. Derek Carr.
Yes, nailed it.
Oh, geez. But that's the way that I look at the quarterbacks right now, is when you're looking at the rankings of the quarterbacks in the NFL. Mahomes is 1, Allen is 2, Lamar is 3, Joe Burrow is 4, Jalen Hurts is 5. So you would then have what? Who would be your 6 and 7? Because you considered, what, Daniels and Stroud, really?
I would go Daniels and then Stroud 7.
Okay.
And then Stafford 8.
All right. My top 10 would be this. Mahomes 1, Allen 2, Lamar 3, Burrow or Joe Shiesty in at 4, the Super Bowl MVP, Jalen Hurts 5, Daniels 6. I think Daniels jumped Stroud even though Stroud was fine this year, he just didn't take that next step. I know there's a lot of blame with the injuries and the offensive line, but I would say Jaden Daniels 6. I would even go Matthew Stafford 7 before I would go Stroud. Stroud would be 8 and Baker would be 9. So I would have Baker Mayfield as 9. The question then is who's the 10th best quarterback? So Tua's under consideration. Dak is under consideration. Jordan Love under consideration. Justin Herbert under consideration. Love under consideration. I think I said Goff already. Brock Purdy, I guess, under consideration. I guess I would go Herbert still.
I agree.
I think the ceiling is still the most. And honestly, I may think in a month, I'm sure we'll do this again before the start of the NFL season, I may contemplate putting Herbert in front of Mayfield. But if you ask me today, Zach Gelb, who are your top 10 quarterbacks in the NFL? Mahomes, Allen, Lamar, Shiesty, as in Joe Burrow, Hurts, Daniels, Stafford, Stroud, Baker Mayfield, and Justin Herbert. Is there one you disagree with on that list, Stu, in terms of top 10?
I would just flip Stroud and Stafford personally.
Okay.
But
you think Baker and Herbert are both top 10 quarterbacks?
I think Baker's definitely 9. I think 10 is very up for discussion. I think you could put in Love. I think you could put in Goff in that 10th spot.
Yeah.
But I think I think Herbert would, like you said, with the ceiling, he makes the most sense there.
So you said Goff, Herbert, and Love. If you ask me, yeah. I would say, if you ask me, which one would you rather have, same destination?
Yeah.
Like, let's say, all right, you're picking the Lions. If I'm the Lions, I'd rather have Herbert over Goff. If you could give me Love on the Lions, I'd rather have Herbert over Love. So that's why I end up putting Herbert there. And, Dak gets injured a bunch. Tua gets injured a bunch. Big reason why I don't end up putting those guys in the top 10. Be curious, though, who's the guy that breaks out this year, whether it's guys in the draft or, is it Caleb Williams? Does Bryce Young, who got his career back, does he jump into a top 10 category? And then in that Daniels draft class, right, we talk about Caleb, Drake May, you got Michael Penix Jr., J.J. McCarthy, Bo Nix, who had a very good season. So it's going to be fun to watch. And who knows, maybe with the last 2 years where you see these rookie quarterbacks, Stroud and then Daniels, are we able to see a crazy rookie impact effect this year where it probably just start with Cam Ward? And Brock Purdy would have been on this list this time last year, and he's fallen off. So can Brock kind of regain that throne? All right, that will do it for the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network on a Thursday. Big thanks to the Big O, Glenn Ordway, for joining us. Quentin Lake as well. Big thanks to Samter. Big thanks to Stu. Big thanks to Ack. And a big thanks to each and every one of you listening to us however you do consume the extravaganza, whether it is via the radio, on Sirius, streaming on the app, or watching us on YouTube. Talk tomorrow, everybody, 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific time. We out. Bye-bye. Peace.